Heyo, it's Tim at Vince, and today I want to go over setting up your first station and X4 Foundations. Feel that maybe perhaps some players that are new to the game put this off because it can be intimidating, and there's no reason not to start earning residual income. Although you do have miners and traders and such where you can make money early game and missions. Residual income is huge, and this is a way to has lower returns than mining, but it scales better. So right now we're looking at a builder ship, and you don't need a builder. In fact, I would say if you have a builder, when you start building stations, you've waited too long. But I wanted to make sure we had a builder available so I can show you how to do things, how to build a station in this video. First thing we're going to do, I guess we should go from the very beginning. We're going to contact this ship here and ask them where we can find, oh, how rude, just like the Ministry of Finance. Let's contact a different Ministry of Finance ship and ask them where we can find their faction representative. That will set up a autopilot quest to get to the Ministry of Finance Telati Equipment Dock, where the faction representative is at. And the reason we want to go there, twofold. One, we want to maybe perhaps buy some blueprints. And then secondly, we want to check. Oh, I forgot that I have to tell them to take off. Secondly, we want to maybe get a management seminar if they have one available. Management seminar. So, whoa, the management seminar will allow our station commander, our manager, to increase their range at which ships can trade. Kind of nice, but not required. I think that a good first station is a solar power plant making energy cells. You really can't go wrong with a solar power plant. It requires no inputs other than sunlight, which is free. You won't need any miners, and you don't technically need any traders either. Um, AI will come and purchase it from you, the energy cells that is, that you produce. So we'll just wait for this autopilot to land us, and I will go from there. This is a Tulati setup that I'm showing you. You can do it with any race in the game, although Terrans have a different energy cell production module. It's one third of the cost to produce, and it also produces one third of the wares. So you'll need three of them for every Commonwealth. The reason we want to buy blueprints here from the faction representative, unlike X3, you need blueprints to build anything in X4, whether it be a ship, missiles, weapons, engines, or factories, factory modules. You need blueprints for them. And so that's why we're going to go get some blueprints. I actually have all the blueprints already that we're looking for, but I want to show you how to purchase them as a matter of course. So if I exit the ship here, hello, and go to the elevator, we can go to the representative's office for the Ministry of Finance. This is kind of a funny demo because the Ministry of Finance doesn't really carry quite a lot of the blueprints we're looking for. But it will show you that you have production, defense, dock, and other modules, um, like the observation decks, which are optional, the wide area sensor array, which is kind of cool, but optional. You don't see any docks available here, but you do see piers. We won't need a pier on our first station. Piers are for L and XL ship docking, which you don't need at first. You can always add those later. Defensive modules are not required, and production modules you might want, like the energy cells, solar power plant, but I believe that energy cell production is included with most game starts. So you probably won't even need that. Some other things that aren't listed here, there are like connectors that you might want that connect, don't do anything by themselves, but they connect to other modules. And you'll definitely want small storage, not medium or large in this case, but you'll want small storage. But Ministry of Finance doesn't offer that. But that's how you would do it. You would comma ship, go to the nearest faction representative, and start purchasing the blueprints you need. Let's go to the Trader's Corner just to see if they have any management seminars. Hello, show me your wares. And indeed, not only do they have a 0 to 1 star management seminar times 2, they have two of the 1 star to 2 star managements. And since we're here, we'll get a pilot because it's cheap piloting. Pretty cool. That was a very lucky find for us. That means we're going to start with a 2 star manager instead of a potentially 0 star manager, which will give us 2 sector trading range. I'm going to press Shift D to return to my ship, open up the map, and tell my ship to dock again at the builder. Minor spoiler, we're in Talani space, and here's 18 billion, Bright Promise, and then Memory of Profit 9. We go to the information menu. Oh, I always forget to tell this guy to proceed. Um, that's a global menu option that you can change so that they don't wait for you, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We're going to the information menu on the map and clicking on Bright Promise, and you can see that the sunlight is at 204%. Memory of Profit is 115% here, and 18 billion is at 90%. So 90% is obviously less than the standard of 100%. 18 billion would be a poor choice for our solar power plant. Memory profit's looking a little better, but Bright Promise at 204% will bring in approximately 100% more than if we built in a 100% sector. So this is a um, great place to build. Go to the Manage Plots button over here on the left, and you're going to make a new plot. You can hold Shift and adjust the plot size, but as you increase the plot size, so too do you increase the cost. And because we're building a small station, we only need 2. You can update this later as well. So if you make a station in a small plot like that's 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers, or 4 by 4 by 4, excuse me, and then you decide you want to add a pier later and the pier doesn't fit, you can always up the size later in the same menu and then add a pier. So we're going to create a new plot, and you can see that it's 64,000 credits to put it right here. As I get closer to the superhighway, the price increases, or as I get closer to a gate, the price increases. So where you place this matters. And then in addition, if you place it in unclaimed territory or your own territory, you won't have to pay the price. But we're just going to drop it right here, and we're going to buy a license so that the local government doesn't send its military ships to take us out. And I'm going to continue. Now, we are in the station building uh, portion of the game, and you can see this cube. We need to build within the cube. A helpful tip, if you go to this uh, gear setting, you can turn the show environment button off, and that makes it a little easier to see what you're doing. You can also change the discrete angle step, which if you hold shift will move your components, your modules by a certain amount. I'll show that in a minute. You can allow module overlap and some other settings. But let's jump down to the basics. So we want our station modules to be within this box. We're going to start with a dock so that ships can land. We're going to do a 1 medium and 6 small luxury dock. I like the luxuries because they look better and they're really not that much more expensive than the basic docks. But the most important reason is they match the 8 medium ship luxury dock and in the white color of the landing pad. So it's just an aesthetic preference. Now we've got this gizmo here that allows you to move this in 3D space. You can also click off the gizmo, like see if I'm here, I'm going to adjust its turn. I press Control Z to reset. But if I am off the gizmo entirely with the mouse cursor, I can move it in 3D space. And it's kind of dependent on the camera on how it moves. But you can also use these arrows to move it along the axis that the arrow is pointing along, and then you can rotate. Now let's say I want to rotate this off the green, and I don't want to go by individuals, 109, 101, 100. I want to go by a discrete step. I can press the Shift key down, and then it goes in 15-degree increments. And the reason it goes in 15-degree increments is if you go to the gear setting, I have it set to do 15 degrees discrete angle step. If I were to set this to 90, for instance, and then hold the Shift key down, it would just go in 90-degree increments. See? So you can adjust and make things a little easier that way. Now, another tidbit, if I have this all the way over here, see it's not centered in the box. What if I want to get it centered? Well, that's kind of difficult to do. There's no grid that's visible. But if you go to this wheel and you only have a single module down, the luxury dock area, and let's do Telati construction module set so that we don't get anything awkward in here that's not Telati. I'm playing a theme Telati. And hit shuffle modules. It automatically puts it at the center of the box. How cool is that? That's a really neat trick. So we don't need a pier because that's just for L and XL ships, which we don't need right now. This is our first station. Build small and then expand later. Um, what we are going to need, production modules. And here you can see the Terran and the Commonwealth. This symbol right here means Terran, and this is the Commonwealth. And remember, this is 1/3 of this. So we're looking at 880,000 versus 253,000, but it also produces 3 times as much. Now notice it won't fit because it's outside the box. What we can do is either drop it somewhere else where it does fit. Yep, it turns green when it'll fit. This is a valid station. You don't need the station modules to connect. I need them to connect for my sanity, but you don't technically need them to connect, and that's something to remember. However, we want them to connect. We can just take this, move it over, and drop the energy cell just like so. It'll snap to it. So now we have production and docking. What we don't have are storage modules. I recommend you go with small for your first station. The auto price that we're going to use later to sell things bases its pricing off of the amount of storage filled. So if you use a medium or a large storage container, it will take much longer for you to return a profit because the price will be too high. Whereas if you use a small, um, things will work out quite pleasantly for you. And you'll make a profit much faster. And so just start with small. There's no reason not to start with a small. People build way too much storage in this game and then wonder why they're not returning a profit. Um, all right, so there's our station. Now, I did all that work, and I'm going to show you another trick. Let's say you don't like building stations. Some people do, some people don't. If you don't like building stations, you can just drag the modules that you have blueprints for. I'm only seeing what I have blueprints for here, that you get from the faction representative. Drag those modules into the box so that they turn green. You don't have to connect them. Go to this gear button, and choose the module set that you want. In this case, I'm limiting my selection to Telati, and hit Shuffle Modules. It will automatically set up a station for you. It may even go out of the box, which is okay. As you can see here, it does go slightly out of the box, but that's not hurting anything in this particular case because of the shuffle button, the way the shuffle button works. I'm using the left mouse button to pan the view, the right mouse button to rotate, and the mouse wheel to zoom. I guess I should have mentioned that, but it sets this up, and it even added a Telati cross-connection structure module for us so that it does not have to rotate the Telati container storage. This is okay. Um, Another cool thing about the uh, the construction part of the game, this is built. Things are built from top to bottom. So we're going to build the luxury dock area first, then the construction, the cross connection structure, then the container storage, then the energy cell production. Energy cell production, if you expand this, takes 520 energy cells, where the dock area only takes 116. This is important because you can't assign ships to trade uh, for this station for the build storage, which is where you get the wares you build with, unless the first module is completed. And I'll show you that later. So if that doesn't make sense, don't worry. Just know that you want the first module you build to be a cheap module so that it occurs easier and is built faster. All right. I don't like this being slightly out of the zone, so I'm going to drag it in, even though it was okay. And I think we are good to go. We can confirm module changes. And now we can even save the current construction plan as our first energy station, for instance. And then if we save that as new, I can go in and load the plan. Let's say I load the empty plan, confirm. Um, I can give it 1 second here. Okay. I can go in and select first energy station. And as long as I have the blueprints for it, that station is loaded and I can confirm my module changes. And it keeps everything, even the order in which things are built. There's no need to add turrets. You could add turrets to the energy cell production by edit loadout here or by this button right here, this little pencil. But as you can see, there's nothing to add because I have no blueprints for medium turrets or medium shields. And really, on your first station, you don't need to worry about that. It'll just increase the cost of the station and make it more difficult to build. So you can see the resources needed to complete changes. This is total. So for all of these modules, these are all of the wares required. We're going to need electronics, energy cells, and hull parts. You can even, if you set up a trade rule, tell it to buy these from your own faction or from a specific faction, or by default from everyone, no restriction. And then you can see that the price to purchase the materials needed to build the station is approximately 1.3 million credits. So just be aware that you do missions and you do residual income from mining and trading. When you get 1.3 million, come in and build your own station, and then it will make money for you for the rest of the game. I want to not accept this estimate, though. I want to show you how to supply your own station with materials. But if you hit accept estimate, then it will AI traders will come and supply the materials for you. And we need to assign or hire a builder. I recommend setting up satellites around jump gates. Like here's a Tulati construction vessel that is not near a jump gate, but oftentimes you'll see them coming in or out of gates or they'll hang around gates. And that may be true. Let's see, like this one just left that gate. So if we would have had a satellite here, we might have seen it. And the reason you want to see them, um, because you need they need to be visible on the map for you to select one. And I kind of cheated. I have a ton of satellites out right now. So we're seeing a ton of construction vessels, but you'll need to go find a construction vessel or have your own. I'm just going to select my own because we have one, and now he will come take care of that for us. One thing to note, as you're looking at these construction vessels like this one here, if you go under the loadout menu, you see that you can't actually see anything unless we scan it. But there may not be enough build drones. You want at least like 20 or 30 build drones. And sometimes they don't have all the build drones that you would expect, and therefore your station would build extremely slowly. So you want to make sure you hire one that has build drones. And the easiest way to do that, what I'm going to do, set a target to this, start guidance. This ship has an advanced scanner, so I can scan ships. We're going to autosave. And we're going to fly over there and scan them. And the police will probably get mad at us, or the ship will, because we don't have a police license. But the reputation hit is extremely minor, so I'm not too worried about it. All right. Shift space allows me to maneuver using the mouse. Shift 2 brings up the scanning menu, or the scanning mode. And once we get close enough, I'm going to do is press Shift F, or select the ship, press Shift F, and keep this little wheel on the ship. Now they weren't happy with us for that, but that's okay. I can right click on the ship and go to the information menu now, and you can see that they have 190 construction drones. This would be a great ship to hire and pay like 3 to 500,000 credits. I don't remember the exact amount, and they would come build your station for you. You don't need your own ship. That's how you scan ships, assuming you have the appropriate scanner installed, which I think I can show you. I go to redesign. I cannot. I go to information maybe. Ship overview, and then software. You can see I have the police scanner. I'm not sure if that's required, but I have it and I know it worked here. So if you go to scan a ship and it doesn't work, go get that police scanner. Now, probably a good time to save in case I'm on beta and I've been having some crashes. Um, which is expected on a beta. So I just want to make sure we save and then continue on our way. So our builder ship is on its way to the Bright Promise factory that we've set up. Now, the builder ship also has on it a supplier or a trade vessel. What I'm going to do is supply only the necessary wares for the first module instead of all the wares, just to illustrate a point. So if I click on this and go to plan build, we can see that we need 58 Claytronics, 116 energy cells, and 212 hull parts. There's no way I'm going to remember that. So let's start with the Claytronics at 58. Take this supplier, zoom out so that we are viewing more of the map for the trade filter. And I'm going to go Claytronics. And you can see Claytronics are sold here. So we're going to click on that with a right click. I'm going to type in 58, enter, and then confirm. And now my trade ship will go purchase Claytronics. Likewise, there was 116 energy cells required. There were. So if we do that with the trade filter on, we can buy 116. And then required also were full parts. And somehow I did remember that we need 212 of these. And now if we look at the behavior menu of our trade ship, you can see that there are 3 execute trades for Claytronics, energy cells, and whole parts. We can turn the trade filter off, and if we click on the Bright Promise factory, using the supplier selected first, so I selected the supplier, or right click on the Bright Promise factory and hit trade with. Do not transfer wares with. Transfer wares with does not respect the buy and sell orders uh, of the station. What like the offers, I mean, not orders. Does not respect the buy and sell offers of the station, which allows you to insert into the storage more more wares than are required. It might be useful in some cases, but trade with is safer. So just always go with trade with unless you know for a fact you don't want to. Um, for instance, here I have 58 Claytronics, right? But we need 381 total. If I had 400 Claytronics and I chose the transfer wares with, I could transfer all 400 even though it doesn't need all 400. And I'd have 19 remaining left over after the station built. So that's why we trade with, and we're going to give all of these to the build storage. Not to the station, but to the build storage, which is where the construction wares go. And then that ship will happily go about trading and supplying the first part. And so as you can see, we need 58, 116, and 212, and we have 58, 116, and 212 coming in from our supplier. What I'm going to do is pause the video, do some CETA, and allow time to pass more quickly, and then we will resume shortly when that supplier supplies those initial wares. All right, so our supplier has the supplies needed, is almost back to the factory, and we'll trade with build storage to give the wares we needed. One thing I wanted to show, I thought of while paused, if I go to plan build on the factory, you might be wondering, hey, how did you know to use a container storage instead of a solid storage or a liquid storage? Well, we know that we have energy cell production, right? Which makes energy cells. So what I want to do is right click on this and go to the encyclopedia, and you can see that it makes energy cells right here under manufacturers. So if I go to the encyclopedia index and I type energy cells, we can see that they're of type ware, and the storage type is of container. They actually take 1 cubic meter, and there's a container here. If this were something like uh, silicon, silicone is a solid, so then I would know that I needed a solid ware, for instance, a solid storage instead of container. So that's how you know. Now, kind of important, when you're exiting the encyclopedia menu, hit this back arrow. Do not hit the X. That'll make you very sad because it will close out of everything you were doing before coming into this menu. But if you hit the back arrow twice, it'll take you back to where you were at. If I would have hit the X, it would have actually exited out of this as well, which is not what I want. Or in this case, it is what I wanted, but for future reference. So now this is docking at the build storage. And we will get those wares transferred. You look at the behavior, it's got the execute trade, where it's going to trade the energy cells, the whole parts, and the Claytronics to the build storage. And there it's going through the motions, and pretty soon our Bright Promise factory will start building. You can see it's going to take 8 minutes, it thinks. We have the energy cells. Now we're getting, now we just need to transfer the Claytronics. We have the whole parts. And voila, in 8 minutes, we will get this luxury dock area built, and then we can continue the video. And if you look, indeed, here are the building drones. You may not see these if you are not near the builder, if you're in a different sector, but since we are on the builder, we can see these drones going about doing their business. Boom, going around. That's very disorienting. But everything is working as it should, and then we will get a manager shortly. So I'm going to pause the video again, and we will come back when that first module is built. All right, so you can see here in 5 seconds on the map, I've expanded the Bright Promise factory, and the dock modules is almost built. Now it's going to build other modules, the Telati connection structure. However, it doesn't have the necessary supplies to do so. Needs 12 Claytronics, 24 energy cells, and 44 hull parts, but we don't have those. So we could go through 3 options. We could allow the AI to supply them, which we have no control over when they arrive or how far they come from. We could have our ship manually trade for them, as we did for the first module, or we could tell the ship to uh, work for the manager and just supply everything necessary. So first of all, let's get a manager. See this exclamation point because we need to acquire a manager. I like, personally, to supply managers from my builders. because managers on builders and on, or sorry, crew on builders and crew on salvage tuetas they both level fairly quickly. And so if we go to this builder, go to crew, and then we say the role, nope, sorry, the current role, we're looking for a manager, and we can sort by skill. You see that we have the service crew that is not quite a one-star management. So that will probably be the person that we use. We can also go to the player information menu, go to personnel management, go to display skill for role manager, and sort by the skill. And we can see that the captain of our supplier is actually our highest skilled manager. We might want to use that captain instead out of our whole empire. And you can just right click and work somewhere else for me from this menu and give them to the station. And then we could upgrade the captain later. But I don't want to do that. We have the seminars. So what I'm going to do, the training seminars, we're just going to go to the builder. We're going to go to the service crew. We're going to right click and work somewhere else for me. Right click on the factory and select manager. Now they will magically teleport to the factory, and that leaves us with one fewer crew on the builder. So what I like to do, send the builder to a shipyard or an equipment dock. In this case, let's just do the equipment dock since it's nearby. I'm going to select the builder, right click on the equipment dock, upgrade, select the crew tab and drag it all the way to the right, which gives them that extra crewman right here. Now they won't do that until the current order is over, which is building on this factory, and then they'll go top up on the crew. The supplier, remember we had our three options for how to supply the necessary building wares for this factory. Now we can just select the supplier, right click on the factory, and hit trade for commander's build storage. As let's just do alpha. Any of these are great. We're going to select that, and what that does is now this supplier ship works for the factory and is set out to buy build supplies for the factory. Everything it needs, not just hull parts or not just energy cells or electronics, but all three. And it will use the range that is greatest between the manager and the captain. So the captain is a not quite, is I think a one-star captain here, and the manager is less than 1 star. So if it relied on the manager, it can only search for wares in Bright Promise. But because it's a 1-star captain and it's the greater of either the captain or the manager's range, 1 star allows it to go 1 sector away into Memory of Prophet 9. If it were 2 stars, it could go to 18 billion as well, because that's 2 away. Notice sometimes these hexes have sectors within them. There might be 2 or 3 little bitty hexes inside this big hex. Those count as 0. So if Bright Promise had 2 little sectors inside of it, then even at a 0 range, it could still go to both of them. It's kind of nuanced, something that is not a big deal, but I wanted to mention. However, it would be nice if we could get to 18 billion because we did purchase some stuff from the whole part factory down here. And so we want manually. So we want to enable that. What we're going to do is go to the Bright Promise factory, go to the communication menu for our manager, give a seminar. We're going to give them a basic seminar for management, which will take them to 1 star. And then we're going to give them a seminar for 1-star crew, which takes them to 2 star. And they're quite fast at learning, instantaneous, you might say. And now you can see they are almost 3 stars in management from those 2 seminars that we purchased at the beginning of this video. Now, our supplier can go everywhere we can see on the map, all the way to 18 billion and back, and will supply the necessary wares for the factory. In addition, if we go to Plan Build, you can see that we can accept the estimate for the estimated price to buy all resources, and then almost immediately we have a Paranid high-tech trader bringing us the remainder of our Claytronics that we need. which is pretty cool. And they are about 7 minutes away. So between the supplier trading for us, and there the supplier has also decided to go to the whole part factory here and grab whole parts. So now if we go back to the factory and go to plan build, you can see the supplier is bringing whole parts, the high-tech trader is bringing Claytronics, and then we have just energy cells left. Once you have the station built, I recommend making sure that you take the money out of the available money for construction. There may be some left over if the market fluctuates in such a way, or you may notice that the last module is not being built properly, and that's because your available money for construction may be lower than the estimated price to buy all resources. The market fluctuates, but this is pretty accurate. Just check this menu occasionally and make adjustments as needed. And again, you can always assign a ship to do it like we have done. Let's see. Do we have enough built to go to the logical overview? Not really. So what we're going to do is I'm going to let the station build and pause the video, and then we will come back. Real quick, something I wanted to mention. If you go into your player information menu and then the global orders section of that, you can set the default response for pirate harassment globally to comply, which is not that bad. If a pirate harasses, we have 100 hull parts, and they harass us, but they can only hold 10 hull parts. We'll drop 10 hull parts for them, get away safely, and then we'll still keep 90. However, my supplier has in its individual instructions menu, I've overridden the pirate harassment global setting of comply to be escape and deploy laser towers. That's because when I was setting this up manually for the first module and we did the manual trading, I didn't want him to come back after being harassed by a pirate and have dropped, if we needed 58 Claytronics and he only had 48 Claytronics, we couldn't build that first module. So I overrode this. You don't need to do that. But if you did do that, it's probably important to reset them to the global setting at some point. So if that was confusing, don't worry about it. Just some advanced information there on how you can configure individual ships and global orders. Be right back. All right, our station is fully built. You can see that the builder still thinks it's building. They take a little while to recollect their drones and to move on. So just give it a second. Don't worry about that. If we click on the station in the map menu, you can see that we actually had some funds for station construction left over. So I'm just going to accept the estimate to return those to my wallet, and that the expected operating budget is 0, so there's really no money to put in the station account. But you do want your stations to have some budget money if the operating budget is above 0. So you can set that here in the account management section, or you can right click on the station and go to the logical overview. You can see that it's producing energy cells at 204% efficiency. We're producing 21,420 per hour, plus 10,920 additional. That's, I believe that means we're producing 32,000 approximately. And so if you click on the storage here in storage, we see the energy cells. We can say automatic storage allocation is fine. We don't need a buy offer because we're not buying energy cells, we're making them. And then the sell offer is here for us. So it's going to sell everything at almost 22 credits per energy cell to everyone. Now, it may not be the case that 22 credits is reasonable. Maybe the energy cells are going for 15 credits at the market rate. So as the energy cells storage fills up, this price will go down. Now we're at 21.96 because we just completed and our amount went up. So as this amount goes up and fills up the storage, this pricing will lower until a buyer is found. So let's say we get up to 10,000 out of 50,000, The automatic pricing, let's say, is at 18. It finds a buyer. The buyer buys. The amount goes down in storage because the buyer just purchased. This price goes up slightly, and the price will hover around the going rate at the market. It's a brilliant system. Just leave it on automatic for the most part, and you don't need to do anything here. But using the small storage allows that price to go down faster so that you find the market, you reach the market rate faster. If you build a large storage, then this would take forever to fill up and you might not sell anything for several in-game hours, which can be frustrating after you've invested that much in a factory. So the only thing that I would do in here, other than adding money to the station account, which we don't need, is we don't really need any cargo drones because we don't have a pier. But as soon as you get a pier, it's good to put 10 to 30 in there, depending on the pier size. I think it's like 10 drones per pier. And so if you use like a E-pier that has 3 piers on one, you would want 30. We're just going to put 10. You don't need this. Like I said, this is completely optional. It wouldn't hurt to have some repair drones as well. So I'm just going to fill up. And then defense drones only work if you're in the sector when it's attacked, but it doesn't hurt to have them either. So there you go. Now we have drones, um, and we would need to buy drone components and smart chips. And you can see our energy cells are actually 0 because energy cells are required in the production of drones, and it automatically figured out, hey, I need to start transferring energy cells down so I can get drones, which gives it a budget that we can accept, and now it will go purchase these drones. If you don't want to rely on the AI to bring things to you or to sell things, you can assign a ship. Let's say the supplier, let's change him to be a trader name. So rename trader. And let's just click on him, right click on the solar power plant. And now we're going to trade for commander, not the build storage, but for the commander itself. We're going to do beta. Now, this ship will trade for the commander. He will buy drone components and smart chips and will sell energy cells up to the range of the manager's level of the station or the trader's captain level, whichever is greater. And that is basically literally everything I wanted to show you about building your first station. And there it is. Isn't it beautiful? That will make money for us indefinitely, and as money comes in over time, it will decide to deposit money into our wallet or our bank account. Won't do it instantly, but just know that it does work, and occasionally you'll get money from it. Maybe one last thing to show you. If you go into the player information menu, go to account management, you can accept all estimates here for all stations and build storages. And then you hit confirm, and it will automatically put money in your account or take it from your account as necessary. So, all right, enjoy. Hope you've had a good time, and good luck on building your first stations.